breaks, depending on what you're watching it on. But best wishes to all of you people who are experiencing probably almost everyone is feeling some kind of religious revival. And if you were the Democrats and you were watching this, um, forget about the politics of it. There's something that's beyond politics now. We've entered some new domain. But if you're a Democrat, whatever this power is that's been unlocked, um, I don't know where it goes, but it looks like a powerful, positive force, and it may not be what you had in mind if you're a Democrat. So, if you're a Democrat, today would be a day to just stay quiet. That would be my advice. I'm not going to say something rude like, hey, you guys just shut up. Just today, the best thing you can do if you're a Democrat, unless you're being supportive and saying something positive, the best thing you can do today, the smartest thing you can do, take the day off. This is not your day. So
Man, oh man, did you guys see yesterday? I streamed it here, but it was hard to believe how incredible yesterday's service was. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Ace Report. Good to see you guys tonight. Glad to be here. Oh man, I got a lot to talk about. I hope you guys are ready for a packed show. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot. Some major things. Trump's announcements today on Tylenol, connections to autism, what they're going to start doing with all that down the road. It's just the beginning. The H-1B visas announcement over the weekend. Obviously, the Charlie Kirk memorial service, which we have to talk about. We have Jimmy Kimmel coming back. What? I mean, it's and there's more. And there's more. But I can tell you this. If anything else is in doubt, there's one thing that is absolutely for certain right now, and that is that this MAGA movement has the most momentum ever. And that is crazy, saying that we have been around, considering we've been around a decade, won 2 elections, and I mean, yeah, you guys get it. This is massive where we're at now, and I hope that if you guys watched yesterday, you are extremely encouraged about where our nation could be headed, because it's looking incredible. So anyways, so we're gonna cover all that tonight. Lots of news and lots of clips, but first, please like, share, subscribe, do the work, support the channel, hit that like. It doesn't take much, just a little bleep. And subscribe if you're new. I bet you'll like it. If you like MAGA, if you like President Trump, if you love America, if you love Jesus, you'll love this channel. I guarantee it. Well, I can't guarantee it, but I'm pretty close to guaranteeing it. I feel pretty good about it. So, and if not, you guys, and if you want more, I should say, join the membership, support the channel. You click that link in the description, get a free month of Patreon. That gets you into members only live shows, as well as the Discord chat. Okay, enough of that. I need to say hey to some people, because it's been a few days. I know yesterday I was on, but yesterday I gave it to the Charlie Kirk service for the most part. So didn't do as much talking as usual, which, I know some of you guys were probably like, enjoyed the break. Much better speakers than myself came on, and that's good. But let's say hey to everybody over here. What's up? X, Rumble, and YouTube. Sorry, on X, I can't see your comments. On Rumble, nobody posts in the chat. Well, a few people do. But on YouTube, you guys are alive and thriving. So let's go. D6 Report, what's up? Just Mike, Vince Feliz, Winning, Stephen Cromer, Chad Yunkin, BN Pro, Pedro Rod, Steve Bernard, Linda Telly. Glad to see you, friend. Tom FP, watch the whole thing over football. Good for you. Pedro, can a narcissist take it? What? Oh, well, I got a narcissist I'll show you. We'll cover that in a little bit about yesterday, turning the day off. Don Clady, what's going on, friend? Kathy, Candace Morrison, good to see you. Alan Krantz, yeah, you're right about that. We'll talk about that as well. LMI, what's going on? Just Mike, this little blip, hit that blip. Dom FP says, not sure how anyone could vote Devilcrat. Yeah, that would be really tough if they call themselves Devilcrat. Sometimes they sure act like it though, don't they? Okay, we got to talk. Let's start speaking about yesterday's incredible broadcast. So far, they have tracked up to 20 million live viewers yesterday with 100 million total viewers. My friends, that is 100 million people who have watched worship, watched the gospel being preached to them, watched how we come together. I mean, come on. 5 years ago, a drug addict died of fentanyl overdose while a cop was unwisely standing on his neck as he lost his breath, and the left used it as an excuse to riot, burn down cities, destroy businesses, destroy $2 billion worth of property and businesses, killed dozens of people during that summer. Thousands of people took to the streets wearing masks, unleashing hell on our nation during the time of COVID. And they said, guess what? Racial justice is more important than your health against COVID. I mean, come on. That was 5 years ago. Well, we showed them how we mourn, and we do it with class. Here's a quick little clip. Just in case you missed it yesterday, or in case you just want to be inspired again. And the angels just incredible stuff. Whoever's doing that job at the social media job at the White House is just crushing it. So just unbelievable. Broke records. I mean, they had tracked, we have right here, over 277,000 devices pinged in the vicinity of Charlie Kirk's memorial at State Farm Stadium yesterday. Guys, 277,000 devices pinged means there was easily over 300,000 people there. Just so you, in case you don't know, that's geo tracking. That means every single cell phone was pinged. 300,000 plus people at one event. That's bigger than Elvis. It's bigger than Martin Luther King Jr. I believe it's bigger than JFK. This would make this the biggest memorial service in American history. And it was all what you just saw, all inspiration. And I got to tell you guys, it was emotional. I mean, Erica Kirk's, her speech just, there wasn't a dry eye in the whole place at that point. But her announcement that she was forgiving the killer of her husband was just one of the most brave and honorable and incredible things I've ever seen from a widow and anybody in such a stressful situation. And we're not going to debate into that or anything. I know some people, lots of people have been like, how could she forgive? It's Jesus. That's all there is to it. This woman's a woman of God, and she is living up to she's got her own legacy, but also honoring her husband's legacy, who would have done the same. These are the best of the best, as I've been telling you guys, and that's one of the things so so hard about losing Charlie. But I got to tell you, after what we saw yesterday, it's I can't help but think that we are going to see just better and better things. The amount of people who are waking up, the amount of people who are refinding their faith, um, it's jaw dropping. It really is. The and from a political sphere, I mean, uh, if if there was any momentum whatsoever on the Democratic side, it is gone, like far gone. They are in so much trouble. You cannot stand up against this. You cannot, at this point in America, expect to get anywhere um, if you're choosing the side of the godless and your anti-traditional values and your anti like family. I mean, this Charlie's part of Charlie's legacy is that all this stuff is now coming back, and it's going to be bigger and cooler to be traditional than ever. And what's interesting is I wrote today on X about how we're a Christian nation. I don't care what anybody says. There's no arguing it. When you like at the lowest point in our history, we registered 62% Christian. That was just 3 years ago. That was the lowest total of people in America calling themselves Christian in history. It's on the rise again. We're about 64% now, and climbing. Gen Z is getting a lot of revival. But the incredible thing is, guys, that it's for the first time in my life, we're starting to recognize that we're the majority, and we're going to start acting like it. And not only is this revival happening right now, but this is the first time I truly believe that the revival of faith in our country is also coming together in a way where it's going to influence our politics in a much more direct way than it ever has before. Now, we've had direct impacts on our politics before with faith, but guys, we've never seen what we've saw yesterday before. Marco Rubio out there preaching the gospel, Pete Hegseth preaching the gospel, JD Vance preaching the gospel, even President Trump, who, to his credit, was very much like, I'm not the Christian Charlie was, and he even said that thing about hating his enemies and wanting them to fail. And, it was funny, but also very poignant for, as he was being honest. But the fact is, he still acknowledged Jesus as Savior, and he's still like, it was every single part, Tulsi Gabbard as well, every single major person in our government, in this administration, RFK, came out yesterday as a loud, outspoken Christian believer in God, faith-filled person. And it was the most outspoken government. I mean, forget the separation of church and state, which, by the way, is not constitutional. That was just written in a letter from Jefferson. It is not constitutional, the separation of church and state. That's a big lie the left has perpetrated for years. But we found, for years, we acted as if we could be Christians in a secular we were Christians in a secular nation. That's how we acted for years. And we tried to, we honored the fact that, so many others weren't believers, and we let them run our media, and we let them, and we just said, okay, hands off, whatever, we'll just go about our own lives. And we realized that if we do that, they're just going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And now they've gone too far, and they woke up the beast. They did. And in a good, I don't mean that obviously in a prophetic biblical way. I just mean the fact that they woke up the majority of this nation who was content to live their own lives, to mind their own business, to practice their faith in private. They woke up those people to say, wait a second. We're going to do all this, and you guys are still going to kill us. You're still going to come for our kids. You're still going to, nope, sorry. That's over. And now we are outspokenly taking control of our nation. And that, my friends, is a beautiful thing. It's also the best news anybody can have, because guess what? Every Christian nation is the nation that has the most rights for everybody, the most peace, the most justice. I mean, this is an unassailable fact if you look throughout history. The most Christian nations, always the best places to live. So it's better for everybody that way, because we're not interested in controlling people, but we are interested in justice and boundaries and leading by example. And so, but it's incredible. And I don't think we've ever seen anything like this in our lifetimes. Somebody said the other day that, it's pretty clear J.D. Vance is just going to be the next president. And I've been saying that for a while, but I think more and more people are catching on to how nothing's inevitable, but it's as close as it's ever been. And, but somebody said after that, like, what if Erica's next? And I was like, man, if we could get a woman president who is a woman of faith and character and conservative values, loves our nation from its inception, like the founding fathers' vision of our nation. If we get a woman like that, I'd vote for a woman all day, and it would be so good for our nation. It would be very good for our nation if we could have something like that for a time, and so I don't know, who knows what's going to happen, but I tell you what, Erica Kirk is a passionate woman. She's clearly going to be a player on the political scene for a long time to come. And man, I think Charlie's death really just broke open so much more. As big of a loss as it was, God is blessing his life and legacy and answering Charlie's prayers through his death. And that is an incredible thing to see. All right, let me catch up with you guys real quick here before I move on. Oh, I did want to share something though. Well, no, we'll go there in a second. Just Mike says Indy 500 attendance averages approximately 400,000 people each year. Yeah, but I mean, that's a major sporting event. We're talking about a funeral. But yeah, I mean, it's incredible. Yeah, they brought Trump and Elon back together. That's absolutely right. Apparently that was one thing Charlie really wanted to happen. D6 says, a very smart and successful friend told me they needed to renew their faith. They become too self-reliant, realize they're missing something. Well, that's amazing. Pedro says, separation of church and state is constitutional and the communist constitution. Well, yes, right. Stephen Cromer says, God's amazing wisdom, although sad. Look at what Charlie being sacrificed done for this country. Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. And I don't like using the word him sacrificed, because sacrifice insinuates that it was by choice. I still don't think this was by choice. I just believe that God can make amazing things happen out of tragedy. But I agree with what he's doing. It's crazy. Alan says top 3, not counting Miss Kurt, Tucker, Carlson, Rubio, Don Jr. I mean, they were all incredible. Yeah. Tucker was awesome. Rubio was amazing. I would put, personally, I'd put J.D. Vance over Don Jr., but Don Jr. was very good too. He was very funny in the beginning, that's for sure. Brett Montgomery says a woman president, maybe MILF Carolyn Levitt will Run. I know she's got my vote in JR's too. You guys and your Carolyn Levitt love. Carolyn Levitt's a very well-spoken woman. She's brilliant as well. She'd be a great choice for sure. So speaking of narcissists, as going back to earlier and people who weren't really catching the spirit of the day, I just got to call out this guy real quick because this is despicable. But good old Thomas Massey decided to make yesterday Charlie Kirk's memorial service all about himself. I mean, if you guys had any doubt that this guy was just a slob and just not a good person, I mean, yesterday he showed his worst side I've ever seen. I've been calling out Massey for a while as annoying, but the fact that he was posting this during, I mean, using Charlie calling for the Epstein files and saying release the Epstein files during the service instead of honoring Charlie, disgusting, and then putting up favorability polls showing him as the most favorable numbers. I mean, this if this man's not a narcissist, I don't know what a narcissist is. This is it's just disgusting. So Thomas Massey, we can't get rid of this guy soon enough. He is awful. He's so awful for our country and for the MAGA party. The fact that he's kind of weeded himself in there and convinced people he's one of us, it's pathetic. He's absolutely pathetic. So, okay, let's move on to the biggest story of today. Okay, so I think the memorial service and obviously Charlie Kirk's assassination, that's the biggest story of the year. And I'll continue to cover stuff as it progresses, as we see more coming out of this. But just incredible stuff. But for today, biggest story of today is this. So they came out today, Trump, RFK Jr., Jay Bhattacharya, and talked about the link they've discovered between women taking Tylenol when pregnant and being linked to children of autism. So I'm going to play a couple clips here, but here's the first clip on this one real quick here.
We know are so bad and they don't take them anymore, but for some reason with this they keep taking it. Don't take Tylenol. There's no downside. Don't take it. You'll be uncomfortable. It won't be as easy, maybe, but don't take it. If you're pregnant, don't take Tylenol. And don't give it to the baby after the baby is born. And you know, we have more than 3 years left. And I told Bobby and the doctors behind me, and they are so committed to this, I told them that this is the number one thing I want to do from you. And, you know, we have something else called Favored Nations, where I'm going to be reducing drug prices by 1,000%, by 900, 600, 500, 1,200. We're going to be reducing drug prices at levels never seen. It's called Favored Nations. We're going to be paying what the we know are so bad, and they don't take them anymore.
So, obviously, big deal. I know some people are going to see this and actually be a little disappointed because they were expecting to get the big vaccine news. I'll tell you, I watched this whole press conference. It lasted about an hour and a half. This is just the beginning. This is the beginning. They are looking into other links. I think they're going to be building up towards it. But it is very interesting that Trump so adamantly says don't take Tylenol. Now, I've known Tylenol is bad for you for a long time, but it's terrible for your stomach. But apparently it also does for developing minds is terrible for your brain. And they linked it to not only autism, but ADHD and, well, right here. So let me let RFK explain it better than I will.
Important findings from our autism work that are vital for parents to know as they make these decisions. First, HHS will act on acetaminophen. The FDA is responding to clinical and laboratory studies that suggests a potential association between acetaminophen use during pregnancy and adverse neurodevelopmental outcomes, including later diagnosis for ADHD and autism. Scientists have proposed biological mechanisms linking prenatal acetaminophen exposure to altered brain development. We have also evaluated the contrary studies that show no association. Today, the FDA will issue a physician's notice about the risk of acetaminophen during pregnancy and begin the process to initiate a safety label change. HHS will launch a nationwide public service campaign to inform families and protect public health. FDA also recognized that acetaminophen is often the only tool for fevers and pain in pregnancy, as other alternatives have well-documented adverse effects. HHS wants, therefore, to encourage clinicians to exercise their best judgment in the use of acetaminophen for fevers and pain in pregnancy by prescribing the lowest effective dose for the shortest necessary duration and only when treatment is required. Furthermore, thanks to the politicization of science, the safety of acetaminophen against the risk of neurodevelopmental disorders in young children has never been validated. Prudent medicine, therefore, suggests caution in acetaminophen use by young children, especially since strong evidence also has associated it with liver toxicity. Some studies have also found the use of acetaminophen in children can potentially prolong viral illnesses. FDA will drive new research to safeguard mothers, children, and families. In addition to a possible acetaminophen connection to autism for pregnant women, infants, and toddlers, our research has revealed that folate deficiency in a child's brain can lead to autism.
I mean, this is crazy, powerful stuff. Liver toxicity, he said it actually can keep you sicker longer by using Tylenol. I mean, this is going to just... this should destroy Tylenol as a brand, except for in like the worst situations. And if you'd ever done research on Tylenol before, you kind of would have known the liver part and what it does to your stomach. But I mean, the other stuff coming out is huge. Now you got to ask yourself, how could it be this long until we learn this about acetaminophen, aka Tylenol? It's shocking. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of people on the left, and even some maybe people who still like really trust their doctors who might not be on the left, who are going to be like, oh, what? This is crazy. RFK's nuts. I mean, I think that's such a crazy take, because it's the people who got us to this point with the health in our country. The people who lied to us about everything COVID, and it's their word against his. Like, we're getting the first new information on all this health stuff in decades, and yeah, there's going to be a huge pushback. I mean, Tylenol, one of the most like respected, well-known brands of over-the-counter drugs ever. I mean, it's a household brand. People say Tylenol for anything. Sometimes it's kind of like, it's like the Coke of soft drinks. You know, you just say Tylenol, and people say Tylenol when they don't even mean it. They just want pills for a headache. So this is a huge freaking deal. Huge deal. And to me, going after Tylenol first is very interesting, and it makes you wonder how many more things that have become just part of our regular lives, part of our understanding, are going to start being blown up in the health area. How many things that we took for granted as just okay. It's going to get really interesting, because I mean, I gotta let you know for sure. I mean, there's no way this is the end of it, because Tylenol has been widely used for decades, and the autism breakout really, really ramped up in the last 20 years. So Tylenol is only part of this. Now, what was also interesting is that what he said at the end there about folate. Now, after he said that, they brought this up, and let's watch this quick clip here.
I'm also here to announce good news. Today, the FDA is filing a Federal Register notice to change the label on an exciting treatment called prescription leucovorin so that it can be available to children with autism. You know, autism may also be due to an autoimmune reaction to a folate receptor on the brain, not allowing that important vitamin to get into the brain cells. It's a fairly established, mature pathway. Again, we have a duty to let doctors and the public know we are going to change the label to make it available. Hundreds of thousands of kids, in my opinion, will benefit. One study found that with kids with autism and chronic folate deficiency, 2/3 of kids with autism symptoms had improvement, and some marked improvement. Mr. President, I'm also here to announce good news. Today, the FDA is filing a...
Okay, sorry. Getting a little repetitive there. But this is big news as well. This is technically the very first autism treatment ever officially recognized. Now, this, I highly recommend you guys, if you have the time and you're interested in this subject, that you watch the entire thing, because there is so much good information in this. They go on to talk about the folate in the brain part, but how RFK shares about how their research on autism, instead of looking at environmental factors, it's almost all been on genetics, which is insane, because genetics alone would never explain like an explosion of these rates like we've seen. And so anyways, it's a fascinating press conference. Trump takes questions at the end, but the way Trump comes out, there's other big news in this conference. They go from completely saying the hepatitis B vaccine, you don't need to take it. Trump says, he comes out and says, don't even take it at all unless you're high risk, and then wait till you're 12 years old. So he's just going to completely blow up the whole hepatitis B vaccine, which is pretty incredible stuff, and made me laugh because Senator Bill Cassidy, who's completely owned by Big Pharma and was going to make RFK sit under his thumb, that was one of his big darlings, the hepatitis B vaccine. And like, no, it's still necessary for these reasons. It's completely unnecessary. The only way you get hepatitis B is from dirty needles or sex, and it's like, so no child needs a hep B vaccine. But he says it in this press conference. It's incredible. It's incredible stuff. And then Trump comes out and he calls out the MMR vaccine. I mean, this is stuff we never thought we'd see. It's awesome. I gotta say. And listen, I can even talk about it on YouTube now because it's official news. So I enjoy that. And if I get cut off here, guys, go watch the rest of the show on Rumble or X. But this is amazing stuff. And this is the stuff that just proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that Trump is not owned by Big Pharma. 100% he is not. And I love this because I watched with the Kennedy hearings, confirmation hearings. They grilled him and were like, do you promise not to do this, and do you promise to report everything to me? And RFK, he said what he needed to do to get in the job. And I'm so glad that now he's been bold enough to make the moves to go after these things that are truly killing our health. And it's a beautiful thing to see. So here's a couple other Trump clips I'm going to play real quick. This one is, Trump explaining this in only the way he can. We'll watch this one together.
How much of this is the causation of acetaminophen, and how much is sort of better diagnosis, doctors, researchers having a better understanding?
By the way, like my oldest son is autistic. Okay. So I get to weigh in on this subject as much as anybody does. I love my son. He's incredible. and I'm very fortunate he's high functioning. So we didn't have to deal with a lot of the worst, hardest parts of autism, but it's still there. And so, but this is one of the big things, as they say, it's, one of their big excuses is we're just better at diagnosing it. Well, I don't know about you guys. I'm 41. I'll be 42 in 2 weeks. Woo! 42, baby. But I'll be 42 in 2 weeks. And when I grew up, no one had autism. It was no one. I almost no kids were sick. Almost no kids were overweight. It was, and that, I mean, I'm 41. I'm not that old. And so it wasn't that long ago. And now it's crazy. My kids, my son's autistic. Even at the homeschool co-op they go to, there are several autistic kids. It is crazy how much things have changed. That's like the new normal. And everybody's got a peanut allergy now. And there's the health of our kids it's so bad. It's so sad. We're very fortunate that we went all natural with our kids pretty quick. And so most of my kids have never had a shot. The ones that had only a couple. They are the healthiest kids you'll ever know. None of my kids are overweight. They're all like very fit. They're all very healthy. And other than my son, who's autistic, he was the most vaccinated out of all of them because we didn't know anything back when he was a baby. And we met with this crazy lady who had just started telling us stuff and kind of helping us guide us as young parents in our health journey. And because of that, we woke up to a lot of this stuff early. But it's incredible to see the difference between my kids and a lot of these other kids out there. It's wild. But we're gonna see all this stuff, but it's so true. And what Trump says here is absolutely true.
Of what is on the autism spectrum.
Do you want to do that? Sure, go ahead, Ron.
That's one of the canards that has been promoted by the industry for many years, that it's changed diagnostic criteria, better recognition. But there's been study after study done of that completely debunks that. One of them by the Mind Institute at UC Davis, University of California. But also it's just common sense, because you're only seeing this in people who are under 50 years of age.
Exactly.
If it were better recognition or diagnosis, you'd see it in 70-year-old men.
Exactly.
I've never seen this happening in people my age. I've never seen a case of full-blown autism, and that means profound autism. I want to be very careful. Head banging, stimming, toe walking, nonverbal.
Okay, so he's absolutely right. Think about it. There was a reason remember when Rain Man came out in the 80s? That was a big deal because you just didn't experience that very much. You didn't see that very much. Again, I was raised lower middle class, barely middle class, and public school, and never knew a kid with autism. Not one, my entire life. And I, went to school with hundreds and hundreds of kids. Not one. Nobody my dad's age ever autism. And Daniel Price, you have no freaking idea what you're talking about. You're a moron. You're an idiot. You have no idea what you're talking about. My son's autistic. I know more about this than you. I guarantee it. So you can spout your lies all you want, but RFK is 100% right on this. Trump's 100% right on this. And I'm so glad he is. And Daniel Price, you have no idea what you're talking about. So get out of here. You can go spew your nonsense somewhere else, but you're a moron. You're an absolute moron when it comes to this. This is personal for me, so don't, like I said, because my son's autistic, you're not going to get through to me. I've done way more research on this than you could ever dream of. You have no idea what you're talking about. So, just, you can get the hell out of here if you want. So anyways, you don't need to be in here because you've got nothing to add. So yeah, anyways, this is excellent news. I mean, and then the autism, the folate thing, I can't wait to see what the results are on that. Obviously, I look forward to trying it with my kids, my son, seeing if it can help him. I mean, again, we've done a lot of work on his diet and stuff, and that has helped to get a lot of the symptoms out. Sorry guys about my volume. I wish I'd noticed earlier. I'm turning it up right now. I'm making some changes on the volume. So, all right, guys, we have an idiot in the chat. His name is Daniel Price, if you guys want to go look at what he's saying. But he's one of those that you can only know something if you're credentialed. So he's probably a mask wearer. He probably still stays 6 feet apart from everybody. He's probably, afraid to, he probably has a mask and like, he's probably still afraid of COVID. He probably got the COVID vaccine 8 times, as wondering why he still gets it every once in a while. I wouldn't be surprised if he's got a mask inside his car on the air vents, one of those types. So that's the trust the expert types these days. Real smart guys, real smart guys. Oh my God. Ridiculous people. Cindy Lou types in, she says, when I was in school, we never heard of autism, ADD, or anything. Any of that is all new in the past few decades. 100%. It's all new. This didn't happen before, or if it did, it was extremely, extremely rare. It is absolutely a massive outbreak epidemic. It's terrible. And, Togram says, he say 6 feet apart from females, not by choice. Yeah. Gets the flu shot. Yep, exactly. So Country types in, he's autistic. So dude, you came to the wrong place, Daniel, if you think you know what you're talking about here. Listen, like, we don't trust experts anymore. The credentialed are the people who ruined our country. We didn't say they're new, retard. You're an idiot. I don't have time for you. Hey, mods, Brett, can you go boot Daniel? He's got nothing to add here. He's just, he can't even listen. So bye-bye, Daniel. You can go bye-bye. You don't need to be here. You got nothing to say. All right, let's keep moving on. I don't want to get stuck in the chat arguing with idiots. We're past that now. I don't do the game anymore. It's like we said, after Charlie, it's over. And then Trump did the Trump thing I love, where he chimed in with this little nugget as well.
For a shot of like an Ozempic or I call it the fat pill or the fat drug. Sometimes it works, I guess, for people. The ones I've seen, it hasn't worked so well. I got a lot of friends, they're fat. They said, yeah, I lost some weight. I said, you don't look it to me. But they were a shot.
Why did I share that? Just because it was funny. That's it. I love it. US1 says, follow the science. No, follow the money. Exactly right. LMI says, Sheriff Kenview fell 7.5% trading Monday, reducing market's company value by 2.6 billion. Thailand's original manufacturer, Johnson & Johnson, spun off the brand. It did. Yeah, what Moody said, I don't see Moody's comment for some reason. Moody is right. Daniel Price. Thank you, Brett. Well done. Trump is the best troll ever. Tell his friends, I don't think you look like you're on Ozempic. It's just the absolute best. All right. Anyways, this is huge news. Talked about it. I cannot wait to see what more comes out on this. This is just the beginning. Can you guys tell? I can't believe I didn't even bring it up to talk about it. But this weekend, a lot of you guys probably saw the Trump Pam Bondi truth, right? So he calls Pam out and says, hey, it's time to get more done. It's time to start arresting these people going after the crooks. And a lot of people were like, look, Trump's going to get rid of Bondi. He's done with her. And then his very next truth, he said, no, Pam's doing a great job. We're just going to ramp stuff up. So, and I don't think Pam Bondi's going anywhere. I know there's a lot of people who want to see that. But this is all ops, guys. Trump wouldn't have done that if fired Pam Bondi in public. Okay. Trump will not do that unless you publicly cross him. Okay. So unless you publicly do something, they're not going to, he's not going to fire somebody publicly. He'll do it behind the scenes, and then you'll just get an announcement that she's gone. But what he did, it was completely, obviously a calm. Him and Pam probably already talked about it. It was ready to go. He's probably got Cash Patel ready to go. Dan Bongino ready to go. By the way, somebody told me a couple weeks ago Dan Bongino was about to leave. Dan's still there. He's not leaving anywhere. All this freaking out. The Trump administration is tight. They are tight. They are making all this work. Everybody, the media keeps trying to push these narratives. The media and the spinsters, which we'll talk about them in a minute here as well. But they keep trying to break up the Trump administration. They keep trying to like get rid of Bondi, get rid of Cash. Oh, there's murmurs that he's unhappy with RFK and no, they're just trying to seed this. So what Trump did this weekend when he called out Pam Bondi and was imploring her to go after more, I guarantee you that was already part of the plan. And what Trump was doing was publicly letting the people know, guys, we're about to ramp up. See, things were already ramping up. Now the Senate's back in session, and we're about to have a government shutdown, which is going to happen. I don't think it'll last very long, but it's going to happen. It's going to hurt the Democrats. All this stuff was ramping up. The Epstein file stuff is starting to get more interesting. They're getting ready to release more things. All ramping up, and then Charlie died. And Charlie was assassinated. That was not part of the plan. That was not foreseen. And Trump, he was doing everything slower by the book, kind of letting everybody just be prepared for everything little by little, trying not to shock the people too much. Then Charlie died. And the people said, F this, President Trump. We want justice. And President Trump said, that was my boy, basically. That he was like a son to me. He was the best friend of my vice president. F this. We're doing this. That's what happened. And I don't think it's coincidence that all this stuff's starting to come out now. I mean, so today, just not even 2 weeks after Charlie's gone, now we're starting to get the autism links, the big pharma stuff. RFK came out and Trump validated this as well. He said, I don't care about the money. I don't care about who gets upset over this. You guys figure out what's going on here. I don't want my legacy to be left where I left this stuff going on with the health of our kids. You guys figure it out. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about the lobbyists. He doesn't care about big pharma. He's willing to bring it all down. He's already going after the drug pricing. He's ruining the vaccine mythology of it being so perfect. He went after freaking Tylenol today. Tylenol. I mean, this is a man who doesn't care. He's only going to do what he feels needs to be done. And that includes this, and this is a big one. Trump has officially today designated Antifa as a terrorist organization. Here's the executive order right here. Antifa as a terrorist threat. They are a militarist, anarchist enterprise, explicitly calls for the overthrow of the United States government, law enforcement authorities, and our system of law. Use the legal means to organize and execute a campaign of violence and terrorism nationwide to accomplish these goals. This campaign involves coordinated efforts to obstruct enforcement of federal laws through armed standoffs with law enforcement, organized riots, violent assaults on immigration, customs enforcement, other law enforcement officers, and routine doxing and other threats against political figures and activists. Antifa recruits, trains, and radicalizes young Americans to engage in this violence and suppression of political activity, and employs elaborate means and mechanisms to shield the identities of its operatives, conceal its funding sources, and operation effort to frustrate law enforcement and recruit additional members. Individuals associated with and acting on behalf of Antifa further coordinate with other organizations and entities for the purpose of spreading, fomenting, and advancing political violence and suppressing lawful political speech. This organized effort designed to achieve policy objectives by coercion and intimidation is domestic terrorism. Guys, this is a big deal. This opens up Trump to basically able to use war powers against Antifa without Congress. Because going all the way back to Bush, there are special powers that Congress has given to the president and never taken back for dealing with terrorists. This is why he designated the cartels a terrorist organization, and now he's doing it with Antifa. This is going to allow Trump to go after their funding, to put special forces on it, to beef up, even use CIA, more FBI personnel on it. I mean, he is basically just declared war on Antifa. Now, this is a big freaking deal because for the last 12 years, since 2013, when the Antifa first really came on the scene during the Occupy Wall Street stuff, that was the first time we really started seeing Antifa here in America that I can track back. But for the last 12 years, this has been the number one organizer of the riots going on in the U.S. The number one place that makes it feel unsafe when bills are passed that the left doesn't like, when Trump has tried to do something the left doesn't like. I mean, I believe, and I think someday we'll find out that it was all, you could trace it all back to Obama. I do believe at some point that he at least allowed it to start. If you remember with Obama, he's the one who really started pushing the racial stuff that started ginning things up. America started getting a much more radical under Obama. The left started getting way crazier under Obama. None of that is coincidence. Obama he's a communist operative designed by far leftists to infiltrate our government, take over, and he's a Manchurian candidate. You know, he is it to a T. Raised from a young boy, by a super political mom, immediately as soon as he was a little bit old enough, introduced to people like Bill Ayers, who was part of the, was it the Weathermen? Is that correct? For some reason it's escaping me, but basically a domestic terrorist group in the 1970s, pushing leftist policies, read, oh man, what's the guy who wrote that book, Rules for Radicals? I can't think of his name right. Saul Alinsky. Saul Alinsky's book, Rules for Radicals, was basically like his Bible. You know, Obama lied about being Christian. He is obviously not. He doesn't stand for anything Christian except that he speaks well. His church was extremely radical with Jeremiah Wright. The dude came on the scene out of nowhere. His name used to be Barry Soetoro, changed it to Obama. I mean, nothing about Obama is real. Nothing about him is real. Came on the scene as a hardcore, super liberal Illinois senator, went from there, became a U.S. senator, and within a couple years of being a U.S. senator was running for president and taking out Hillary Clinton, and climbing the ranks. I mean, the guy is smooth, but he had operatives all behind him. Weather Underground. Thank you, Mike. I mean, again, nothing about him is real. And he did everything to undercut the U.S. Everything. He came in at the perfect time when the economy was crashing. He could make stuff happen a lot faster, never let a good crisis go to waste, as Rahm Emanuel, his chief of staff, said. I mean, it goes on and on and on. You guys know it. We've been down this road before. But the point is Antifa came to life in America under Obama. And that's not coincidence at all. Obviously, they had their masterpiece was 2020, the summer of 2020, when they terrorized the entire United States, in blue states and blue cities, terrorized us, used George Floyd, the BLM riots as an excuse, really ratcheted things up, helped steal that election. It goes on and on and on. But Trump is now done. And he said he was going to do this in 2020. He didn't get around to it. I think there's reasons for that. I think he knew what was coming in that election at some point. If you remember, Trump several times warned us that they were going to try to steal it and use mail-in ballots and all that. He said it many, many times before the election. So I think Trump knew what was coming, and he held off, because if he'd made this move before, because he was only in office for a few more months at that point, if he'd made this move before, I think it would have given Biden an excuse to be even more radical in the government against those of us on the right. And so he held off, and now his first year back in office, with almost 3.5 years left, he's now designated them a terrorist organization. Now, he's already cut off U.S. aid, already going after things like Act Blue. I mean, the Democrats' funding is drying up like crazy, and then we're going to take this out as well. So it's just incredible what we're seeing. Really, really amazing stuff. And it's just more proof that things are really, really ramping up. And then Carolyn Leavitt today in her press conference talked about it. So let me let Carolyn, because I know some of you guys just want to see her. So Big JR, Brett, here's a little couple minutes of Carolyn Leavitt time for you. Because because she should have a guest star show. She should get to guest star on my show every once in a while. So here's her opportunity to do.
In media seat, we have that. Monica Page, who is the White House correspondent for Turning Point USA's news organization, on the front lines. Monica, thank you for being here. We're so sorry for the loss of Charlie. I know you work for him. You were very close to him, and we appreciate your being in the new media seat and also your commitment to covering the White House. You are here every day, just like the rest of everyone in this room. So why don't you kick us off today?
Thank you so much, Caroline. I don't think you realize how much it means to me to be here in this seat, especially on behalf of Turning Point USA and Frontlines. We greatly appreciate it. We also greatly appreciate the outpouring of support and just the really kind words that we heard yesterday at the memorial service. That means more to us than I don't think anybody ever knows. And even the global support that we're seeing for Charlie has been overwhelming, and it doesn't go unnoticed. So thank you so much. I have 3 questions, if I may, on the horrific murder of Charlie Kirk. Government and local officials said that Antifa inscriptions were engraved in these bullet casings that killed Charlie Kirk. It appears to be a trend, especially after what we saw in the Annunciation Church shooting, Catholic Church shooting. Additionally, Stephen Miller recently commented on the rise in this kind of violence, saying there is a domestic terrorist movement growing in this country. But the president is designating Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. I'm wondering, what is the approach to holding these people accountable, just to ensure that violence like this just is eradicated moving forward?
Sure. Well, Antifa is going to be designated a domestic terrorist organization. The president intends to sign that executive order very soon as it's drafted, as soon as today, later this afternoon. And this is something the president campaigned on, because we have seen a rise in violence perpetuated by Antifa radical people across this country who subscribe to this group. And unfortunately, it's gone widely uncovered by many in the legacy media. It also went completely ignored by the previous administration. Not anymore. Not only, as you mentioned, were the bullet casings subscribed with Antifa mottos, if you will, in the heinous assassination of Charlie, but there have also been more examples than I could read off for you here in this briefing room today of violence from Antifa. I will just read a few. In July 2025, several members of an Antifa cell ambushed and opened fire on officers at an ICE facility in Alvarado, Texas, shooting one officer in the neck. Also in July 2025, 3 Antifa members were charged with assaulting a police officer during a violent riot outside an ICE facility in Portland, which for weeks prior had been under siege from the local Antifa terror cell. In February 2024, a transgender Antifa terrorist detonated an explosive device outside of the office of the Republican Attorney General of Alabama. In July 2023, Antifa members linked to abortionist group Jane's Revenge firebombed pro-life facilities and vandalized churches. In January 2022, a suspected Antifa member was arrested for bringing a pipe bomb to a pro-Trump event. In January 2021, an Antifa supporter threatened to shoot police officers and Trump supporters outside of the Florida State Capitol building. Again, I could continue to list many more examples for those in the room who don't believe this is a serious threat to American safety and our national security, but this administration knows that it is. That's why the president will be signing this order. And we will also be, most importantly, looking at who is funding Antifa and who is funding these other violent left-wing groups that we've seen perpetuate so much crime and mayhem across our country.
Take away the money and it all falls apart. That's the thing about the left. The left is not organic. They are all funded by interested cabal type globalist billionaires, trillionaires, and they push and hide and lie, and it's all deceitful and it's all falling apart. And it's incredible to see how quickly the Democratic Party is falling apart now that all the money's drying up. You see, under Obama, now it was a little both sidisms for a while there, all right? And our government's been corrupt for a very long time, but it got worse and worse and worse over time. And then with Bush, I mean, the Clintons really kind of bastardized the Oval Office. They really took the sheen off the presidency and tried their things. But Newt Gingrich kind of held that presidency in check a little bit. Bush came in. They took away a bunch of our rights under the name of the Patriot Act. They brought in the warmongers. They started bankrupting our country. And only, the defense contractors, they're all making out big, the bankers. Then Obama came in and really accelerated things and really, really set up all the organizations, because under Obama, they thought they had it set. George Soros at that time funded all the secretaries of state's elections in the U.S. they thought they could win, and they won several of them. You know why? Because the Secretary of State in the states runs the elections. And so they thought with Obama coming in, they could rig it all. Going forward, they would never lose another election. And so he also created all the funding that would just not stop. And all these organizations and just created a non-stop funnel of cash to the Democratic Party. And they just never saw Trump coming. And that was the best thing that could ever happen to us. You could say it was God blinded them or their own arrogance blinded them. Whatever it was, they weren't ready for Trump. And there's other things about that I believe happened with the Trump first term and him getting in, but it doesn't matter. The point is they weren't ready for it. And he came in and now back again, and now he's doing everything he's wanted to do for years and years and years, but it's been a long process. But it all goes back to the funding. They cannot survive without their cash cows. They just can't. And Trump is cleaning it all up, and Antifa is a big deal, a part of it. But what's also part of it, in a lesser way, but in a very interesting way, and this is returning power to the people of America, crushing the H-1B program. Now, I didn't get to talk about this much because it happened on Saturday. But on Saturday, Trump signed this executive order to completely change the H-1B program in America. Made it much harder for anybody to come in. And this will all be challenged in court. You better believe it. And we'll see how it goes. But I do believe he has the legal right to do this, but he's just made it so much more expensive to bring foreign workers in. And this is going to dry up even more of that cheap labor that they're all relying on. And if you're noticing a pattern with everything Trump's doing, he's systematically destroying the Democratic Party and its terrorist groups like the Antifa and the way they held sway over us, and the way they've controlled the media and all that. He's breaking apart the left, which is really, it's the Democratic Party, but it's not all Democrats, if you understand what I mean. It's their leadership. And it's the far left, and they've just been used to just whittle away at our traditions, our American way of life, our American way of thinking. They've just been used to destroy us from within. And then the billionaires and all these crony capitalists, they've been using the cheap labor to replace us. And what they've been doing is taking away our power. Trump is systematically breaking this all down. And he is taking away all the abilities. He's making it harder and harder to steal from us, to steal our wealth, our health, our future, our ability to move up. I mean, it's incredible what he's doing. And this is a big one, guys. Here's Trump and Lutnick as he signs it. I'll do full screen on this one.
Visa systems in our current immigration system has been the H-1B non-immigrant visa program. This is supposed to allow highly skilled laborers who work in fields that Americans don't work in to come into the United States of America. What this proclamation will do is raise the fee that companies pay to sponsor H-1B applicants to $100,000. This will ensure that the people they're bringing in are actually very highly skilled and that they're not replaceable by American workers. So it'll protect American workers, but ensure that companies have a pathway to hire truly extraordinary people and bring them to the United States to work.
We need workers. We need workers. We need great workers. And this pretty much ensures that that's what's going to happen. I think, Sean, do you agree with that?
Well, they're $100,000 per year. So the whole idea is no more will these big tech companies or other big companies train foreign workers. They have to pay the government $100,000, then they have to pay the employee. So it's just not economic. If you're going to train somebody, you're going to train one of the recent graduates from one of the great universities across our land. Train Americans, stop bringing in people to take our jobs. That's the policy here. $100,000 a year for H-1B visas, and all of the big companies are on board. We've spoken to them about the gold card.
They love it. They love it. They really love it. They need it. Go ahead, Sean.
Mr. President.
Ooh, that, my friends, is going to be expensive Indian. I'm sorry, it's true. I'm not just playing here as as Indians make up 70% of our H-1Bs. So listen, I'm all for bringing in the best people to, that's what we want. If we want to do immigration, which we do, bring in the best. We want that. Absolutely, we do. But this has been used as slave labor. It really has. And it's also been used to undercut the American worker. So they'll bring them in at $5,000 a year fee or whatever it is. Excuse me. And they pay them under American wages. They'll pay them like $40,000 to be like the manager, of their store or whatever. And on top of that, they only get to stay here if they're sponsored, so they can use that against them. Like, oh, you're not going to work? You're not going to stay here? Like, these people can be used and abused. So it's also not good for them. Now, however, a lot of them would still be rather doing that, being used and abused in America than back home, and I get that. I feel sorry for some of them. But they were taken advantage of in an awful system that has just hurt our country. And that's what it comes down to. And it hurt our people. So this is huge. If it is upheld, it's $100,000 a year they have to pay for the new H-1Bs. So anybody who wants to be sponsored here, the company has to pay $100,000 to bring them here and then pay them and then pay $100,000 the next year for them as well. So the idea of getting all this cheap labor is going bye-bye real quick. Let me see some of the comments here. By the way, guys, if you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe. If you're on X, please repost. I appreciate that. Follow me on X. Subscribe here on YouTube and Rumble. Thank you guys for the support. LMI says no more immigration for 20 years. We need a moratorium. We do need a moratorium. I don't know if it needs to be 20 years, but I think 5 to 10 would be a great start. Brett says one of the main visa brokers in San Francisco, they charge 20%. Ooh, 20%. This is going to completely kill the whole thing. So, this is a big part of it. Getting rid of this cheap labor, this extortion labor for sure. And this is killing the legal way to do it. But meanwhile, we're also still really accelerating getting rid of the illegals. Here's Tom Homan today. I'm not going to play the clip because it's getting late. But Tom Homan says that the numbers that have gone since Trump took over are now up to 2 million. 2 million in not even a full year. And that's with the One Big Beautiful Bill that funded all this just getting passed 2 months ago. So he says 2 million illegals have exited the United States, 400,000 deported, 1.6 million self-deportations. Guys, that's massive. That's massive. They're self-deporting at that rate. So this was done with a very low budget for ICE, these 400,000. So now that budget is skyrocketing and they're hiring thousands of ICE workers, now more agents, this is going to go huge. And I think we could get to the point where maybe 4 or 5 million a year are leaving. Because at this point, we're at 2 million. By the end of the year, this will hit 3-4 million. That's a lot of people gone in the first year. A lot. And so now you think the border is completely closed. It's the most secure it's ever been. Millions are deporting and self-deporting. The H-1B program loophole is being closed up. Guys, we're going to have a completely different looking country here in a couple of years. It's going to force businesses to hire Americans for better jobs, better wages for lower jobs. And yes, I mean, there's going to be a lot of stuff that comes with that, but don't get me wrong. There's going to be cheaper housing as people leave, cheaper goods because there'll be less demand for them. I mean, it's prices will be going lower and wages will be going up. And that's just from immigration. That's not even any of the other policies. This is incredible what the Trump administration's pulling off. And again, they just don't care. They don't care about the criticism or anything. This is stuff getting done. It's beautiful. So just major wins. And so and before I go, let's just run off a couple other wins quickly we got here. So one that's not quite a win is Jimmy Kimmel is coming back. Disney announced that today that he'll be back on tomorrow. But it's not that simple because Sinclair Broadcast Group has decided they're not going to air his show when it returns. So we have a lot of the broadcasters refusing to air him. So even if Jimmy comes back, I hope Sinclair stands strong for a while. But this also means this is going to, even though his ratings will go up for a blip because of all this that happened, it's going to be really hard to get those ratings up too high when several of your broadcast stations are not sending them out there. So this is great news. These people are not budging. ABC caved because Hollywood basically completely turned against them. Hollywood started actors, actresses, producers, directors were all starting to boycott working with Disney, doing anything with ABC. And then a crazy terrorist guy attacked ABC Studios, I believe it was in Sacramento this weekend. And so they bowed the knee. They're terrified. But you know the way they see it? Jimmy's contract runs out at the end of this year. He has 8 months left on his contract. So I can almost guarantee you he'll run out his contract and won't be back after that. So he's going to do what Colbert is doing right now. Shout into the void with his low ratings, his liberal bubble. He's going to be shouting out there. They're going to raise him up as some kind of hero on the left. And meanwhile, the Democratic Party will keep shrinking. And this is just going to be his little last go raw. So is it a little disappointing he's going to be back on air? Absolutely. But I tell you what, This also proves something that is very important in the conservative circles right now, and that's the free speech debate. This proves that the FCC did not get them off the air. And that's important. Now, personally, I don't care. I had this debate with a friend today about the whole FCC thing. I don't care because the FCC actually is in charge of regulating the broadcast airwaves because they're publicly owned. They're government controlled airwaves that ABC runs on. ABC, CBS, Fox, NBC. They all run on government controlled airwaves, and they are standards they are supposed to hold to. Jimmy broke those standards. ABC breaks them by keeping them on. Now, they're rarely enforced, and most government administrations have never enforced these rules before, but they have every right to, per the law of the 1934 Communications Act. So it's old, it's archaic, whatever, but it's not a free speech infringement, because a free speech infringement is when you go after somebody in the private sector. That's completely different than holding technically somebody who's in contract with you accountable. So I don't care what the FCC said. I really don't. But it does prove that the FCC is not the ones who pushed him off. And he'll be gone soon anyways. And at this point, let the liberals have their little fake victory party. If they're going to celebrate this and that gets them excited, I mean, they're just drugging themselves with cheap drugs and just trying to pretend themselves that their world's not falling apart. And that's fine by me, whatever. But I hope Sinclair holds strong and just hurts his ratings on the way out. That would be pretty great. So the left is always so full of love, says Lochtefeld. Rumdog says there should be an investigation on who recommended SEC chairman. You mean FCC? Oh, you mean Paul Atkins? Yeah, I mean, I'm not talking about SEC. I'm talking about FCC right now. Yeah, I want to see, as far as the SEC is concerned, which is not what I was talking about, we're going to see. I have a feeling it's being cleaned up behind the scenes. And Bam Investor on X, he's been on here a couple times. A lot of what he's seeing tends to seems to make that point valid. We'll see how it all plays out, but I think that Wall Street might be getting cleaned up behind the scenes. We'll see what happens. Okay. Another huge win today. President Trump, SCOTUS sided with him, allowed him to fire the FTC appointee. And also the Supreme Court has decided to take up the full case about this. And they are going to look at Trump's ability, the president's ability, in any and all situations to fire these quote unquote independent agencies that are still under the executive branch, which I think is pretty easy to dictate that the Supreme Court, as it stands right now, will probably overturn and allow Trump to fire at will. So that's going to be really interesting. But for now, while they're deciding the case, they've told him you can go ahead and fire this FTC appointee. So Trump wins again at the Supreme Court. That's 16 cases in a row dating back to May that he's won at the Supreme Court. So really huge there. Okay, now I'm going to bring Harry in. Harry, my favorite New York Jew. He loves to talk about polls. Harry, you're going to talk about this poll for us, okay? This, after the Charlie Kirk stuff and everything, here is Harry Enton breaking down why the Democrats are just in a very, very bad place, and it looks like it's getting worse.
What are we seeing? Donald Trump being underwater, Democrats saying, oh, this guarantees us we're going to fly high in the midterms. Let me tell you, this guarantees you nothing, because at this particular point, the Democrats are the New Orleans Saints of political parties. What are we talking about? Trust the Dems or GOP more on the economy? Who leads on the economy? Republicans by 7. Immigration, Republicans by 13. How about crime? A big issue for Donald Trump and the Republicans. Look at that. Lead by 22 points. So the bottom line is this. At this particular point, the ball may be on the ground, but the Democrats have not picked up the ball and running with it. If anything, at this particular point, it's the Republicans who are running with the ball on the top issues, the economy, immigration, and crime.
Give some context on this. Compare this when Republicans last took the House.
Yeah, let's compare it back to 2022. I think this kind of gives away the game right here. Okay, the GOP is more trusted than the Dems on the economy. It was 12 points in 2022. Slight decline in that lead, but still 7 points. How about immigration? It was Republicans by 3 back in 2022. Look at this. The Republican lead's actually gone up by 10 points. What are you doing, Democrats? My goodness gracious. And on crime, the Republicans were up by 13, and now they're up by 22. The lead again expanding by nearly double digits. So whatever Democrats are doing, it ain't working, Kate. It ain't working. Republicans have the lead on all three issues.
What's the reason that you are finding so far that's driving this?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's all about the center of the electorate, right? You win with independents, you win overall. And what do we see right here among independents? Republicans still have a point lead on the economy. They got a 10-point lead on immigration. They got a 21-point lead on crime. The bottom line is when you look at these numbers, Democrats should call their offices because at this particular point, even if Republicans or even if the public doesn't like what Donald Trump is doing, they ain't necessarily liking what Democrats are doing. And it ain't just a referendum on one party. You actually have to go out and beat that party. At this particular point, Democrats are not able to beat Republicans. They still
and again, this isn't as Donald Trump came into office. These are numbers from this month.
These are numbers from September of 2025, we still find that the Republicans leading on all three of these issues. And, of course, this economy will be the key. If Democrats are going to win, they're going to have to likely win on the economy. At this particular point among independents, you see that 1-point lead for Republicans. And overall, at least according to the Washington Post, they hold a 7-point lead on the economy overall as well.
Thanks, Harry. He gets a little excited, doesn't he? Listen, why is this a big deal? Well, I think Charlie Kirk's death is just accelerating this and will accelerate going into midterms because it's showing more who the Democrats are. But B, Trump is doing all this crazy stuff. The tariffs, the border, going after the left, Antifa, putting the National Guard in cities to clean up crime. It's just one thing after another that is just kind of mind-blowing. And what's crazy is in all of it, they are gaining in their leads. Trump is still, if you take the polls of his approval ratings averaged versus Obama, Bush, Clinton, he's ahead of all of them at this point in his presidency. That means the people are with him. He's maintaining popularity. The Republicans are maintaining trust despite all the craziness going on right now. That, my friend, shows you that the Democrats are as weak as they've ever been. No other president has been able to get away with such drastic changes in our government and our economy and maintain these kind of numbers. It just doesn't happen. And why? Well, I think Trump really breaks it down perfectly right here as he tells us what the Democrats are.
So I ask you, what do the Democrats stand for at this point?
I think chaos, confusion, anger. They're losers. They don't even want to extend the opening. We have a very successful country. If we gave them everything they wanted, they're deranged. If we gave them everything they wanted, they wouldn't extend, in my opinion. They say, they want to meet with me. It's nonsense, but I'll meet with them. But no, they're angry, and they took a big loss, and they're doing worse now than they were during the election. So they're doing very badly. I don't think actually. I think they stand for chaos. They stand for nothing.
They stand for nothing. Stand for chaos. That's actually a powerful statement right there. Because I mean, you guys tell me, like, can anybody say what any Democrat stands for right now? I mean, I surely can't think of anything. And, it reminded me of in, The Dark Knight, in my opinion, maybe the greatest movie made of the last since the year 2000. And in The Dark Knight, the Joker he doesn't care about anything. He just wants to see the world burn. And the mobsters, they want to use him to take out Batman. But what they don't realize is when they partner with him, they're partnering with something so chaotic and evil and without any beliefs and doesn't stand for anything that it ends up just bringing chaos. And it gets out of their control too. Well, that's who the Democrats are now. They partnered with their own version of the Joker, which is the far left Antifa, the trans crazy community. They partnered with all that chaos and it overtook them. And now that's just who they are. And now they're just running around and all they want to do is just break everything. Now, in my opinion, the one difference is that there is a power over the Democratic Party who really does want that to happen so they can swoop in and take over again. But that's just not going to happen. And the fact Trump can call it out like that, we've never heard a president speak that way about another political party before. If you go back to George Bush, you'd be like, I just don't know. The Democrats, they don't believe that we're in as much trouble as we are. So, I'm just going to get Dick and we're going to go bomb Iraqis and, just keep the country safe. Just like, or Clinton would have been like, those Republicans, they don't believe that the government can be used for anything good. And they just, I respect it. I respect that they want to keep it down and they just don't want to get it too deep. They just don't want to spend more. And I get that, but American people are suffering. So I just want to help them. That's how all these presidents used to talk. But Trump, man, he calls it exactly like it is. And it's powerful. It really is. I mean, we are seeing, and here's the thing. It's not just Trump anymore calling this stuff out. The people now see it. And we've seen it with our own eyes. Because Trump started waking us up. He started calling stuff out. He, back in 2015 when he's running, 2016, 2017, he started and we started hearing him and being like, yeah, I think you're right. It is worse than we thought. It is a little crazier. But then we saw more and more. And in the Biden administration, we really saw it. It was like, oh my God, this sucks. This is not America. And then they killed Charlie Kirk. And we literally saw thousands of people on social media calling themselves Democrat who were celebrating, thousands. And we just saw how dark and chaotic and gross that was. And we saw their leaders say similar things, not quite as far. They'd be like, well, killing is bad, but he was a bad person. Ilhan Omar, AOC, Chuck Schumer. No humanity. And the best ones would say, well, this is terrible and we don't condone it, but it's got to stop on both sides. The best ones would play the both sides argument, still playing politics. And nobody except John Fetterman could come out and say, one Democrat in the entire party could come out and say, this is awful. I'm so sorry it happened. That's it. One who's sane. So it just showed us, and we're all watching it right now because America just witnessed its greatest political assassination since Martin Luther King Jr. 60 years ago. We just witnessed that on TV, online. We saw it happen in real time, which was way more impactful than reading about it in a newspaper. I mean, it's still terrible, but seeing it and then seeing immediate reactions like that, that showed so many people how I had hope I could maybe reach across the aisle. How do I talk to somebody like that? How do I connect with somebody like that who could celebrate death over a political opinion? And we see chaos, craziness, and we're waking up to it. And this is why so many people are running to church right now, because so many people are realizing that all they hoped America was, all they thought was possible here, all the good, like they're just life that was just going forward in motion and, same old thing every day. They realized, oh my God, there's more. there's a lot more craziness going on, and there's actual evil in this world that I don't know what to do about, except that I got to stand up to it somehow, and I'm scared. And B, look at this movement. Look at this man did, and he espoused faith, and look at all these people around him. Look how they're acting out in peace. That's preaching the gospel in and of itself. So all this stuff's happening. It's all part of this awakening, and it's amazing. And I'm telling you that unless something significantly crazy happens in the Trump administration to just ruin all this goodwill, and I don't see that happening, we're on the other side of something now. There was before Charlie Kirk, BC, and there's after Charlie Kirk. And what we're in now, guys, is going to be a whole lot of winning for those of us who've been waiting. Because I'm telling you, that's going to be God's justice. And he's using Trump, he's using this administration to speed things up. And the biggest, most important thing is the people are behind it. And that's going to make sure that it's lasting and it's complete, as long as the people stay with it. And I believe they will be. So, all right, let me catch in on some of your guys' comments here. They're the party of death, says Sparta. I mean, in many ways, I absolutely agree with you. No unity with the devil. Agreed. Cass Sink, seems like every hearing in Congress or Senate lately is nonsense from the left. Yeah, that's just what they do now. They don't know how to have real arguments, so they scream. And the tech runs better than the Democrat Party. I like that, Brett. LMI says, by the time the 90s rolled around, I started to hear too much talk of, gee, I hope I get that job on sanitation or police, fireman, some government job. Oh, I get you. People were choosing safety. They were choosing safety and security over wealth, over the ability to grow and build something. Yeah, that's just not American. I totally agree with you. Sorry, Luigi. I'm not really doing a lot of stock stuff anymore. I'm not really in that world as much. Democrats stand for nihilism. I mean, yeah, that makes me think of Big Lebowski. We stand for nothing, Lebowski. Yeah, this is very true. The only thing that emulates from the Dems is hate. Yeah, and I do try to differentiate, because I know a lot of Democrats who are good people. They're just very, what's the word I'm looking for? Misinformed, in a bubble, lost in that sense, lost the ability to critical think. Yeah, I know, but they're overall decent people. And they're starting to have issues, but they're still not ready to leave. But it's the left, and we gotta, so I always kind of differentiate. There is a Democratic Party, then there's Democrats, and some Democrats are okay, even though I disagree with them. But then there's the left, which is all on the Democratic side of things. They're all voting Democrat, and that's the real enemy. That's the problem. That's the big problem. All right, let me see here. Lieutenant in the Army. What did I miss there? Anyways. All right, guys. Well, hey, love you guys. It went a little long tonight. I will be back tomorrow. Just there was so much to talk about. But I'll be back tomorrow. We'll cover more. But guys, we're winning. Amazing things are going on. So please like, subscribe, follow if you're on X, repost if you're on X. I appreciate it. And let's do what we always do here, because we need it and it's working, is end in a prayer. So everybody just take a second. Heavenly Father, thank you, God, for what you're doing in this nation. Father, we see just the incredible amount of goodwill and the momentum and movement that's happening after Charlie Kirk's death. So, God, I thank you that you make terrible things, you make good out of them. And we are seeing that. I thank you for Charlie's life and the man of faith he was and all the prayers he had. And I just, I know you're going to honor him in his death by fulfilling many of those prayers. And he loved this country more than anything else, Lord. So we pray for our country. We pray that this revival spreads like wildfire, that it revives us both spiritually and politically, that, God, we truly take back our nation in every single aspect of it, Lord. We weed out all corruption, and we get this nation to be back to what it was meant to be, a government of, for, and by the people, Lord. And then from there, we can decide how we help others. But we got to fix our home first. So, Lord, we pray for that. I pray for wisdom, discernment, protection for President Trump and his administration, Lord. I thank you that they all espouse their faith boldly this weekend, Lord, and I just pray you bless them for that as well. And, God, I pray that this doesn't stop. It only ramps up. They say turn the temperature down. I say turn it up. Turn it up with the fire of God, the fire of the Holy Spirit, in Jesus' name. I pray that people right now even feel the fire, Lord, that it just spreads like crazy, that the temperature rises in this nation, and not in violence, but in a way that God legally, peacefully, and with justice stamps out all the evil in this land, God, and so we can just get back on track to be the greatest nation in the world, and the people may prosper in Jesus' name. Bless everybody here. Amen. All right. Love you guys. Have an amazing night. You guys are the absolute best. God bless you. And I will see you all tomorrow.